Hey, sorry for yesterday. It's tougher for us to do shows when I'm up in Toronto, and Eck was unavailable due to some family things. So we will make up for it today and tomorrow. Start with the pre-show stuff, and I just have to start with this because if you think that you're like not being watched when it comes to what you do on, say, Google. Even if you search for something on your phone, and I've talked about this before, and I'll use this as the example. I'm looking to buy a new pair of glasses. Local place, you can buy, if you have your own frames, they'll put the lenses in the frames, and it's cheaper. And I like these particular frames. I was looking for a different version of these frames. And of course, as typical of, you can't find the frame for less than $120. So it makes no fiscal sense.
Right.
Unless you go buy it on eBay. And I'm not going to, because they could be like from China, and it's like they could break if you drop them. You don't know if you're getting the real thing or not. Anyway, so I looked for this stuff for like 45 minutes and then stopped. Every commercial, every pop-up ad on any website that I go to, even when I go to YouTube, and they have the ad before the, if you don't have the YouTube Pro or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
Every single one of them is Glasses USA or some other company that's glass. I mean, oh my God. It's like you just inundated with it because you looked up something for 5 minutes.
Thankfully, I don't need glasses.
Great.
So let's talk baseball. Obviously, yesterday, Zach Wheeler signed with the Phillies. 5 years, $118 million is a lot of money. That's definitely an overpayment. Every Phillies fan knows it's an overpayment, but he can pitch. He's a really good pitcher. They have to use him correctly. I do think it's possible he could do a number 2 role behind Nola. I do think that's possible. Mm-hmm. But they do have to sort of work on him a little bit because last 2 years he's been just unbelievable in the second half. Good all year, but unbelievable in the second half. They can harness a little bit of that more all year. It could be really good for them. Conversely, Cole Hamels signed with the Atlanta Braves, which I knew was going to happen. I said a week ago to my best friend that he was going to sign there. Now, what became interesting from that is Todd Zalecki reported for MLB.com that the Phillies did make an offer to Cole Hamels, $9 million, and the Braves gave him 18. So this is what's not getting reported that I feel is necessary to talk about with the Phillies. They knew they had to get a couple of pitchers in the offseason, right? Their plan was, let's get Hamels cheap, and then we'll use that extra money and overpay for Wheeler, and only half of that came through, and that's going to affect them if they don't get another good starter. Right.
I mean, I don't know what the status of Arrieta is.
Well, he's bad. I memean, he's going to be the number 3 now. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible he could bounce back, but yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing though, and I don't dislike Wheeler. I used to have him on my Stratomatic baseball team. But $23 million a year for him is insane. It really is.
He could get more wins on another team, but you could also make the argument in the bandbox that is Philly, he's really going to have to strike people out. I get the exit velo and everything for his pitches and all that's great, but a couple of mistakes in Philly will cost any pitcher. It doesn't matter who it is, and that's a lot bigger than Citi Field. So we'll see about that.
And apparently, and by the way, Terry, they were gray frames, so there you go, gray and blue. So you got that one right. Hey, I wear gray, so I have to gray glasses. It just makes sense. I'm a fashion plate. What can I say, man? But no, apparently the White Sox offered more money to Wheeler than the Phillies did. So yeah, I guess a determining factor was Wheeler's wife or girlfriend is from Jersey.
Yeah, his wife is. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so I mean that was a factor. Now, encouraging for me and discouraging for everybody who hates the Yankees. Apparently, they are really in on Cole. Now that doesn't guarantee
supporting him.
Right. Well, no, but let's just say the limitations that they had in terms of Corbin, like 5 years. Those have been thrown out the window. They want Cole bad. Cashman has wanted him for 8 or 9 years. Sabathia is gone. Paxson is up after this year. So is Tanaka. So is Hap. So they have a lot of money clearing off the cap after this year. And I guess their plan is, if they can get Cole, to have Cole and Severino as sort of the 1-2 linchpins of their staff. Now, I mean, that's all fine and good, but Cole could still decide to go to the West Coast.
He could just be building up that price, Mike.
It's very possible. But there is a possibility. Apparently, I was doing the radio show that I do locally, and one of the co-hosts is the host of the show is a big Red Sox fan, and there's a lot of talk about Mookie Betts going to the Angels. And if Mookie Betts goes to the Angels and they re-sign him, there's no way that they're getting Hamill or getting a Cole on top of Trout, on top of the money left on Pujols' contract, on top of Betts. So it could be the Dodgers, but they're close to $300 million. I'm just saying that right now, I think the Yankees are in it. I don't know if they're going to get them, and if they don't, then there's probably going to be Plan B options like Bumgarner.
I'll equate that to my childhood, Mike. So, on the old Santa list, I may have put down like a Schwinn Stingray on my list.
And you actually got a stingray. You got a big fish with wings.
No. I ended up with like a Ross whatever, and it was a great like purple bike. It had the huge sissy bar and everything. It was a great bike. It just wasn't a Stingray, and that may be what happens to the Yankees is they go after the Stingray and they end up with just a little less. And that may be what
the story of my youth, Russ, is that I wanted this real cool bike that looked like a chopper motorcycle with the big handlebars. I got it. I left it in my friend's driveway, and his dad ran over it.
Oh, years later, I did get a Schwinn 10-speed, and that was nice. So,
okay. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Thursday, December 5th, 2019.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Michael Agello, and this is the Hockey Buzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. Okay, let's start with some of the games from last night, and we'll start where everything starts, in Toronto, where the Maple Leafs played the Colorado Avalanche. It was Nazem Kadri return night. Nice little video for this.
Right, so stop right there.
Yeah.
So I think the rule should be you have to have at least a 10-year career, which he did, and he had 9 years in a game, and be a beloved player to get that video. Now my question to you, Mike, is was he really a beloved player? Because he had a love-hate relationship with the fans. I don't know if he was fully beloved like that. You included.
Well, early in his career, I despised Kadri's game because he had a lot of talent, but he was a defensive liability. He would make stupid passes, make giveaways at the wrong place on the ice. He got better over the last few years of his career. I mean, Babcock sort of beat it into him, no pun intended, in terms of, like, you got to play this way to be successful in the league. And he's apparently, after the fact, when it came to Babcock, he has talked about how he changed his career. So I had less of a problem then. The problem I had with him later in his career was that he was just had bad impulse control and was stupid in instances, and at the worst possible time during the playoffs when he got suspended twice.
Would you give him the video?
Yes, they gave a video. They gave a video to Patrick Marleau after 2 years.
Did they give a video to Alan McCauley? He had a nice 6-year career for the Leafs. Did they give him a video?
But that was a previous administration, Russ.
Oh, we see that. Just enough with the videos. It's just everybody.
No. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. And if there was a love-hate relationship, you didn't see it yesterday because they gave him a standing ovation.
Right, but there definitely was when he played there.
Yeah, because he made choices on the ice that were brain dead. I mean, you could make a case that he cost them 2 first-round victories over the Bruins by being stupid. I mean, they lost in 7 games. He was suspended for 3 games in one, and he was suspended for 5 games in the other. So, I mean, what would he have done in place of William Nylander up the middle or in place of Thomas Plekanec in the 2 years? Who knows? I mean, you could just say that his loss was big. So, but
all right. So before I looked up some stuff on the Leafs before you go over the game. The first one is they've not only given up the most shots against, which is not a shock, even more than the Red Wings, but they have the most shots in the league shooting.
Okay.
The difference is 32, something like that. It's in the 30s, right? My question to you is, had more of those gone in, let's say 20% more of those had gone in, would they have a better record right now? Is the margin of it all that close right now in their season?
It's tough to say. I can say, like, in the Keefe era, it's been like things have been closer. I mean, not the Philadelphia game, obviously,
right?
But I think they played last night I thought they played well.
Mm-hmm.
They got, the key moment of the game was a sort of brain crampish exchange at the end of a power play where, Jason Spezza was trying to keep the puck in the zone, didn't know Riley was there. They sort of got tangled up in each other, and Nichushkin jumped on the loose puck and went and scored a shorthanded goal. I mean, that was just freakish.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is right now, you look at the standings, and the Leafs have, I believe 30 points, and second place in the Atlantic is 31. And 11th.
But they played a lot of games.
Yeah, they played a lot of games, but and 11th place in the conference is like 28. I mean, I'm not looking at the standings right now.
Oh, but that's about right.
Yeah. Here we go. Florida, Buffalo 31, Montreal, Toronto 30, Tampa Bay 29, the Rangers 29. So, right now the wild cards are in like the low 30s. So it's like, even though the Leafs have played, like, I would say average at best this season, and there is a general, I think that the panic that's going on right now in Toronto is just, it's the anticipation of this team being a Stanley Cup contender, and now the realization that they're maybe a playoff team, but they've given up a lot of opportunities to make some ground based on their average play and their flaws. I think the flaws can be straightened out, but the problem right now is, Russ, is that the focus is on the big guys, and the big guys are not doing it. Now, you know me. I'm not somebody who has banged on Austin Matthews throughout his career. I think he's a great talent. I think he's worth every penny he can get. But when you're paid $11.6, you got to play like you're being paid $11.6, and he's not.
So I don't know about that. I mean, okay, they did show that he did back check last night, but he's not going to back check every game. No. But my basic point is, he has like 16 goals in 30 games. Right. You cost that out, it's around 40 goals. I think it's everybody else around Austin Matthews, Nylander, and the rest that need to play better. I think losing Marner for a period of time hurt, but you can't use it as an excuse, because we could talk about the Penguins all day. I mean, they've lost everybody, and they're still in it. I'll tell you what bothers me about the Leafs. There's 2 things. The first one is, you could see the amount of talent they have on the ice, but in each line, with the exception of the Matthews line, there isn't always one guy who's selfish enough to take those really good goal scorer shots. They don't do enough of that. There's too much finesse, sort of playing, passing, fancy play, if you want to even call it that. That's one thing. The other thing is, they definitely have a problem, at least lately, keeping possession of the puck when they have the extra attacker on the ice. They are awful at it. It's almost like they don't know what to do with it, other than, I'll pass it to you, you try and shoot. If that lane's closed, you try and shoot. They don't seem to have a definite plan.
Well, okay, the trigger man on the number, and I'll use the lines that were played last night. We won't spend all this time on the Leafs, but just it was, it's been the talk lately, so we have to devote ourselves to it. The trigger man on the number one line is Matthews. Nylander, even though he's the winger, he's the playmaker. His job is to get the puck to Matthews. That's why Matthews likes playing with him, because Nylander is a distributor. He's a complimentary guy, and his job is to get Matthews the puck. I mean, there was a play last night where Nylander was in the slot. Matthews was to the left of the net, closer to the goal line, and Nylander distributed the puck. Nylander's got a good shot. He's got to shoot. But he does.
I agree with that.
He defers to Matthews. But that's part and parcel with Nylander's game. He's always done that, and I think he's being encouraged to do it more because he's playing with Matthews, and Matthews is the trigger guy. On the second line, Mitch Marner is not a sniper. Mitch Marner he plays like a center, and he was a center in junior, but he's playing the wing. And Tavares is the sniper. Tavares is the guy who scored 47 goals on the third line, and this was like
technically, if we really think about it, that's not him either. He is not a shoot first guy, John Tavares.
Well, he wasn't in with the
he wasn't in his career. If you go back to juniors and everything else, could he score goals? Yes. Yeah. But he is not a shoot first guy.
Right. He wasn't with the Islanders, but last year he scored 47 with Werner. So I think he's taken on that role more. Maybe it's not a perfect fit, but he did it pretty well last year. The third line, which has only been together two games, there is no trigger man. Hyman's a worker. Kerfoot is a good good two-way center, speedy. Kasperi Kapanen is all over the place. I mean, he's fast. He can drive the net. He's got a little edge to him. Problem is, I don't think he's particularly offensively gifted. I mean, he can score goals, but I think he scores with his speed. I don't think he's got a great shot. I don't think
he's one of those guys that sort of buzzes out there, but doesn't finish. And it's been really obvious lately with Marner out that if you look at him to sort of carry a certain load, he's failing on that.
And, the Ilya Mikheyev, who's been a success since they signed him out of the KHL, he's sort of that guy too. He's not a guy with a lot of finish. He's
got a heavy shot, but you know what the thing I noticed about it is? When he takes it, the release isn't that fast, and goalies set up quickly on it. Now, he's got a fair amount of points, but I'm saying if his release were a little better, I think he'd be fooling goalies a little more for goals.
Now, the funny thing, and then we'll get off the Leafs and talk about the other games. And it was very strange. The Leafs played the night before in Philadelphia. They didn't have a morning skate, although they had a couple, like an optional, and Michael Hutchinson and one of the injured players were skating. That was immediately a clue that something was amiss, because Hutchinson, as the starter, normally would not skate if they were optional. So then it comes out at about noon or 1 o'clock that Freddie Anderson may start, which he had not started back-to-back games in almost 3 years.
Right.
Sheldon Keefe comes out before the game, and he indicates to us that Freddie Anderson went to him after the game and said, I want to be in. I want to go. We need this victory. We need this. We need to all be together. I want to rally with the guys, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. That's all. I don't know if that's true, but that was what was being told. Okay, Anderson had a good game. The team, up until it was 1-1 in the third period, and then they make the error. But I didn't sense any great rally. Oh, Freddie is starting. Any great rally or great emotional upheaval, because he did. I mean, it was 1-1 in the third, and the best player on the ice for the Leafs was Freddie Anderson.
Yeah, and he asked for it, right? He requested that he play.
Right. It's
I think that goes back to the Philly game, though.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely.
That game left a bad taste in his mouth, the way Philly scored those goals late, the way the team gave up, the way the Matthews called out the team. That was Anderson being a leader. The other problem with the Leafs is they seem to be lacking leadership. And I'm not questioning Tavares. I'm just saying when there's guys on the ice your captain's not always on the ice. They don't always seem to have a guy in charge on each line. And that to me bothers me.
Yeah, I don't buy this, but I'll put this up here. Dean says Tavares' salary screwed them. Willie and the Snowflakes cannot make 12 mil. Well, okay. This is the problem. The problem is, and like you can see this, and I was talking with some media members yesterday, and I'm like, they couldn't save 500,000 here, 500,000 there on these contracts to get themselves an adequate backup goaltender. Well, here you go. I mean, is this a symptom of having a general manager who was a bit of a novice when it came to negotiating? Yeah, I would not have given William Nylander $6.9 million. No, there's no way. I would have signed him to a bridge deal. That they wanted the 6 years. And now he's being paid $7 million. And now on top of Marner and Matthews and Tavares all making in the 11 to 11.6 range. Now you've got a $7 million Nylander who one game looks really good and 2 games this week was -4. So, right now, I mean, are they a Stanley Cup contender? No. Right now, the way they're playing, no. Are they a playoff team? They're one of 8 or 9 teams that are battling for 4 or 5 spots. The whole point here was nobody thought they were going to be in that situation. They thought they were going to be top 3 in the Atlantic, home and cooled out, and it was a question of who they'd play in the playoffs. And instead, now they're worrying about the construct of the team, the backup goaltender, the fact that they can only carry 21 players on the roster. All these things that we thought were going to be minor considerations are determinative when you're looking at the fact that right now they're on the outside looking in. So,
all right. If I'll say this to answer Dean Youngblood. Good movie, by the way. I still like it. If you're going to tell me that after, 17 games to 20 games, that Jeremy Bracco wouldn't have more points than Spezza or Timashov, I would laugh at you because I'm sure he would.
Right.
But they constructed the team a certain way, and then they sort of hamstrung themselves as to who they can call up and couldn't call up. And so Bracco's been on the outside looking in. Freddie Gauthier is like, 28 games. I don't know what he's doing out there.
Freddie Gauthier, who is a marginal NHLer, was healthy scratched for the first time this year. And this was an organization under Mike Babcock that scratched Jason Spezza 10 times. I have to say that slowly because I can't believe it.
You know what? Here's what you could do. Put Spezza as the 3rd line center, put Kerfoot as the 4th line center, get rid of Gauthier, get rid of Timashov, bring up Bracco, and bring up somebody else with a little more life to him because Gauthier is an anchor. Like, Bracco would bring so much life to this lineup, it's not even funny. But now it's almost like they're afraid to do it because they're trying to, get this to work first. And it's not going to work with Freddie Gauthier. It's not.
Yeah. All right, we'll get off the Leafs and
hey, one thing. Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry, crazy stressful morning, but better now.
Okay.
Just taking a couple breaths. Anyway, so the one thing I had a question about was this with the Leafs, and we move on for it. But was the idea of going, with Anderson against the Flyers, Hutchinson against the Avalanche.
right.
I just, is he still going to just follow the whole Babcock thing of this?
No. Anderson went.
Anderson went yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry. You see, I missed the whole thing because I was. That's great. So he played Anderson back to back.
Right, but the thing is, it didn't make a difference because they still lost. I mean, Anderson.
That's okay because
Anderson played well, but the problem is that
okay, good.
They have to be concerned, and I think that this, they have to be concerned about the wear and tear on Anderson. Now, this was a one-off. Sheldon Keefe yesterday says, I don't want to do this. But Anderson came to me and said, I want to start. So we're going. But he's basically saying this is not going to be something we do again.
Well, Mike, since we are going an extra minute on this, so go ahead and answer me as to why They can't drop Gauthier out of the lineup, put Kerfoot as the fourth line center, and put Spets as the third line center. Tell me why they can't do that.
They could do that.
I know. Don't you think it would help them?
I think they think I think they want to manage Spez's ice time. They don't want him playing third line ice time 14, 15 minutes. They want him to play more like 10.
Well, they can move Kerfoot in there for a couple of extra shifts a game.
Yeah.
When they do away with the fourth line, hey, guess what? You can put Kerfoot back up with that line.
If you're gonna go skill, go skill all the way. I would have a fourth line of Bracco, Spezza, and like Mason Marchment or somebody like that.
Engvall's the only one doing anything on that fourth line.
Yeah, and I know that he might get sent down when Trevor Moore gets activated, but Engvall has proved to me over the last few weeks that he's an NHL player. He's big, he's lanky, he's fast. He doesn't shy. He's 6'5". He doesn't shy away from the physical aspect of the game. I like him. I think he'll be a Leaf maybe later on in the year or next year. But they really there is something missing there, and they don't have any flexibility. They could trade Cody Ceci if they could find somebody to take him, but then they create themselves a hole on the blue line. So really, this team, as it's currently constructed, has to come around. I think it will. I think there's too much talent there, but right now, like the pressure in Toronto is on because the expectations were higher, and they could miss
the playoffs. Period.
Now, let's get off of this and talk.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I'm just gonna say I'm glad that they did that. Like again, I missed all the games last night because the things that were going on. But that's I'm glad about that. I'm glad they did that. That was, to me, the idea of if you're anything, I would have played Hutchinson against the Flyers, and then Anderson against.
Well, they did that last week against Buffalo, playing Anderson or playing Hutchinson in the first game.
Yeah.
With a fresh team, and it didn't change anything in the sense that Hutchinson played great in the first period and then gave up 4 goals to the Sabres. So it didn't change anything, and it's just Dubas came out and said, we want to give Hutchinson another chance. It's up to our team to play better in front of him, which tells me that basically he sees the price tag out there for backup goaltenders, and he doesn't believe it's worth it. He's not going to be held hostage for it. So he's trying to find his way through the minefield and get to, say, January, when he might be able to get a backup goaltender cheaper.
Got it. All right, so Montreal for a second. Let's move on to them for a second. They
broke their 8-game losing streak.
And tonight, Caden Primo is getting his first start for the Canadiens. What are your thoughts on this, Russ? Caden Primo.
I mean, I think it's a little premature, but I mean, it was phenomenal last year. Just phenomenal. He's been phenomenal for 2 years, but that's in college hockey. That's a big jump. Now, I know he had good numbers in Laval. How many games did he play in Laval, though? I don't know.
I don't know either, but he did have good numbers there. And I mean, I do like the kid. I think
maybe Mike could look it up. He's calm. He's athletic. Even I saw him in the Bean Pot, and I saw him undergo an injury in that game, and he stayed in the game and gutted it out to win that tournament. I've been very impressed with him, but this is a big challenge.
Colorado, big deal. I mean, playing against Colorado, that's kind of
it's second of back-to-back because they played in Toronto last
year. Yeah, but still, I mean,
Caden Primo in 12 games in Laval, 7-4-1, 2.58 goals against, 910 save percentage.
Yeah, this is a little premature to me, but I hope the best for him.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Carter Hart coming up early.
I give Keith a lot of credit though, because Keith really stays out of it and really he'll interview about it, he'll talk about it, but he's not front and center about it, and I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I like Caden's competitiveness. I've always liked him.
And Wayne stays quiet too, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Right. There we go, Wayne. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Wayne Primo. Come on, when's the last time?
Yeah, absolutely. Wayne Primo, Stratomatic hockey legend. Anyway, yes, absolutely. Another thing that was pointed out to me that was kind of interesting is that Shea Weber, who has gotten knocked for the past few years, because he was not as good as whatever. There's still people there that think it was a bad trade. I think it was still a good trade to get Shea Weber.
You know why? You know what? You know why people think it's a bad trade, because PK Subban is the only player probably in the last 15 years who actually wanted to stay in Montreal, and they traded him. That's why.
Well, I mean, he did, and he did some. And I don't think that's it necessarily. I mean, there's a lot of players that want to stay in Montreal, but he's. I mean, he did a lot for Montreal. He had his whole like.
Well, that too, but
yeah.
So, but this year he's having an incredible year, and kind of like people aren't even talking about it too much. But it was pointed out to me. I was reading on Reddit. He 23 points, which makes him 5th in the NHL among defensemen, with 9 goals, which is 2nd. And he's just killing it. I mean, and this is
I did talk about it after they played the Flyers. I brought it up because I spoke to Weber in the locker room, saw what great shape he was in, saw how he was skating. So I did bring it up on a day that you missed the show, but otherwise you're right.
Yeah.
Everything you said was true, Eck, but here's the problem. Russ has said that Weber had looked like he had become leaner, lost some weight after some, I think it was knee problems last year. He had a good 2/3 of a season last season, so he's really sort of going forward, doing the same thing this year. He's 2nd on the team in scoring.
Yeah.
You're not.
No, I mean, that's definitely a big issue. And obviously with Duran not playing and hurt and all that, so there's a lot of problems there. But I agree that they have a lot. They've got a, they
I give you 3 problems. You want to know 3 problems? The first one is Joel Armia is their best player lately, which is great for them because I love Joel Armia, but it's bad for the scoring on that team. And the fact that Nick Cousins and Jordan Wheel can play roles like they do on that team shows how weak they are offensively.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. On this date in 1909, something happened, by the way. What do we think?
Tsar Nicholas had no.
Yeah, right. 1909.
They formulated the Stanley Cup. Somebody made the Stanley Cup.
This is the day that the Montreal Canadiens were founded. So I thought we should say that this is like the oldest NHL team, obviously.
Look how Mike's so happy. He's not even smiling.
I know. And it's pretty
funny. If you would have said the Leafs were formed then this day, he'd be like, oh.
So I've got something coming up here that I wanted, and along these lines with Mike and smiling and the Montreal Canadiens. A nice transition into this. So I'm working on some. My son has been dealing with this amplified muscular pain syndrome, which is a really crazy disease, and I wanted to do something charitable for it. And I had an idea for a Christmas type T-shirt that I could sell for it, and I want to show you what it is. And I want to see if you guys are interested in buying this kind of thing before I put it up, because I think it's going to be kind of fun. But let me show you what exactly is going on here. So. I'm supposed to have it up for this. I'm sorry. I have it. Here it is. Okay. For an example, I'm going to bring it up right now. And this is like, it'll be basically a T-shirt where you can put anything you can put your name to anywhere and have the E5 on the bottom of it. So it's like basically like you can do McDavid to Toronto, E5, that kind of thing. Or you can put your own name on there, like this, for example. So this is someone gave me this idea when I was talking about it. So let me share my screen here. And for example, someone said this, this is an idea, like to do like a Jello to Montreal, E5.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of good. And so you can get it in white or you can get it in black.
Mike would be like Jackie Robinson.
Wait, if it's going to be me, it has to be in gray.
It should be in gray, right in the middle.
If Mike got traded to Montreal, it would be like Jackie Robinson getting traded to the Giants, and he would retire.
Here you go.
But just to prove that I can be an equal opportunity person, I also have this one. Don't worry about fixing that. Well, you can, but here we go. Also have this one, which is like Eklund to the moon, E5. So people who don't like me, want to get rid of me forever, this is your chance. So basically, you can put anything on there you want, and
if the moon was made of cheese, then it'd be a hell of a fondue.
Excellent. So I'm going to put them on. I'm going to put them on sale. The back will have this kind of thing on it. So let me show you. So I'm going to put them on sale over the weekend. They'll get out in time for Christmas or what have you. But the back will be like this, and it'll kind of show you what's going on here. So here we go.
Stuttering guitarist says, my T-shirt should be gray with gray print.
Gray with gray print. You can't see it. The back of this, like the Stop Shout and Pain, the Amplified Muscular Pain Center at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. That'll be on the back. So
nice.
It's going to be kind of cool. Proceeds will go to, any profits they make on this. Hopefully there will be some. We'll go to the cause, and because those guys have been so nice to me over there and everything like that. And my son really wanted to do something too. So there you have it. So you can put anything on there, anything you want anywhere, and I think it'll be kind of fun for people to do, and it won't be very expensive. I think it's gonna be like $15. It'll go to Canada too, and I'm gonna try to it'll definitely ship to Canada for sure.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
The condition is kind of treatable. If they're asking, it is kind of treatable, but they don't have a real cure for it yet. But they can definitely control it. So, but it's he's got a long red head.
I did want to mention something, and I have a trivia question. We'll see if Mike gets it. We'll see if you get it too. But noticing there were two things yesterday worthy of note that we saw some footage of. One of them was Alex Ovechkin fixing his own helmet with a blowtorch.
Oh, I saw that. That was great.
That's fantastic.
That was really good.
I mean, I don't even know. I just saw it happening, and I was like, man, this is unbelievable.
With a blowtorch on the bench.
Yeah, and he's like, give me the blowtorch. He's like,
without anything. Yeah, I mean, this. I have a video of this actually.
I've never seen anybody do it on the bench. Obviously, Lanny McDonald would always do it with a stick in the training area because I've seen that even in a charity game.
Picture of it. Here's a picture of it. He said, "I'll bring this up. This is really. This is crazy. There are some things about Ovechkin. I'm not a lot of things about Ovechkin, but there are some.
This is one of the great things about him.
There is if there's a picture of him, just blow torching, no gloves or anything like that. Just his helmet.
You never saw
They're in Moscow.
Yeah, you never saw Gretzky do it.
No.
That's one thing, and then the other thing is,
he had Dave Semenko do it for him.
Right. The other thing is, so he's on pace for around 112, 115 points, which is way above John Carlson, Mike Green territory. And so my question to you guys is, who is the last modern day guy to get over 100 points as a defenseman in the NHL?
Ooh, the last guy.
Paul.
I would guess Coffee, but I think it's not.
Nope, it is not. The last guy. Coffee did it, obviously.
Yeah, the last
time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Well, it's not Sandis Ozolinsh.
No, it is not.
It's not Roman Polak.
It is not.
Would it be Bork? No.
It is not.
Carlson.
Nope. I just said it's not Carlson.
Yeah, it's not Carlson.
Way to pay attention, Mike.
Someone in the chat room says Larry Murphy.
Who'd they say?
Larry Murphy?
Nope.
It's not Jurke Lume.
Give us a team.
Larry Murphy's not even on the 100-point list.
Give us a team.
I can't give you the team. I'll say the 90.
Brian Leach?
Yes.
Okay, there. Yes, that's Flyer Fans.
Of course, it's a Ranger.
91, 92. No, but it just shows you how many years it's been.
I mean, that's like
a long time that we're now seeing something this special. And like Jeff Merrick on the midday show is like, if you're voting for the, for the Norris, is it a slam dunk? And I vote for it. And right now it's a slam dunk. It doesn't matter what the underliers are.
It's not even close. There's no question about it. It's not. I mean, this has been.
He with 100 points, he's winning the Norris.
It's pretty rare that we have a runaway Norris winner too. That's like not something.
Yes, it is a rarity. I agree.
Yeah,
and probably a runaway Calder winner too.
So far, it looks that way. We'll see if it ends that way. But yeah, so far.
Yeah, so far it definitely looks that way. But yeah, no, that's pretty crazy. That is really crazy. He's got Carlson right now. Yes, 42 points.
42 points
in 30 games, which that ties him for the 5th most by a defenseman through 30 games in history. And the only player who's ever gotten more than that through 30 games is Bobby Orr. That includes Coffee. Think
about this. This is a legendary season he is having
in an era that's not like Coffee's era.
No, it's not freewheeling like that.
No, it's not. Where goalies are a lot better. Although goalies have gone down over this year. So I was checking out some stats about that. The goalie save percentages are lower this year for some reason. I don't know why, but just in general, they are. I don't know.
Percentages lower?
Yeah, save percentages and goals against average are lower. My theory is that I really believe that we are living in like this golden.
Oh, I know why.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say because I tweeted this the other day, and then of course when the Leafs collapsed, there were a lot of goals scored in the third period. But it's that whole shot suppression, goal suppression thing that everybody's doing, and it's really the shot suppression of it. I said this the other day, if you didn't have the gift of sight and you went into a hockey game and all you would hear for half the game or more is like sticks on the ice, blocking pucks, getting out of the middle of the ice and moving them out. Like that's all you would hear for half a game.
Yeah, and you know what? I know it goes along with that. Honestly, as a goalie myself, when I was younger, not that great anymore, as we all saw a year ago. But when I was younger, one of my big things that we were taught, in camps and all that stuff, was to yell screen constantly. Like if someone was blocking your sight, like on your team, yell screen.
Yeah,
and that has totally gone away. Like the idea is you are going to be screened on most of the shots you face in the NHL.
Yeah, goalies are used to getting screened because
one
or two guys are going down to block shots.
Yeah, and if you can't see the puck, it is hard. And not only that, but not only are they going down and screening you, but when you realize when they're in that spot, there's all kinds of possibilities to deflect off of them and stuff like that. So
you see, when we played street hockey and I yelled screen, they got in front of the shot to screen me.
That's what they wanted to do. Yeah. I mean, I used to hack some people on the backs of the knees and stuff like that when they were in front of me, when the other players are in front of you. But, when your own team is – again, and I remember playing in the in one of the games, one of the media games a few years ago. I think it may be in Carolina, and I was you were playing that one too, right?
I played in the Carolina game.
Yeah, and I was yelling. I yelled screen, and my teammates looked around, turned to me, and looked at me like I was nuts.
I was on the line with Sarah Baker, and I was sitting next to Rob Simpson on the bench. He may have been on line too. I'm not sure.
She's a goon, isn't she?
Sarah Baker is a tough one.
Actually, she was on the other team. I was trash talking her. That's what it was.
Yeah, she was.
Everybody.
She's a good player. No, she's a really good player.
Like Cassie Campbell was playing into. I think Cassie Campbell was in that game. If I remember.
No, we didn't have anybody like that.
She skated around everybody.
One in Philly or something like that. She was definitely one of them.
She brings around everybody.
I don't believe Cassie Campbell played in Carolina. I have a picture. I'll have to look.
Well, here, let's touch on this. I have to touch on this. Ottawa Senators 5, Edmonton Oilers 2.
All right, wow,
folks.
The end is near.
Well, there is a stat, and Anthony Stewart got it fed to him from Sportsnet, so I give him. That's when you have a big ticket like that has a stat staff. But basically, McDavid, I think, hasn't been on the score sheet for like 12 or 13 games, and so basically, you can draw the conclusion if he is not on the stat sheet, they're losing that game.
Right.
That is the impact of him and the problem that they have in other scoring, and it is a problem. Oh
yeah, they definitely have problems in scoring. I mean, he had a great play last night, but he didn't score on it. McDavid did, but he, obviously these guys are crazy. I mean, they're not going to win every game. I mean, they're not going to win, and they're. It's kind of like a good sign because like this is a typical thing. Like when a good team will lose to a terrible team like that.
Like, and that's happened. Mikko Koskinen. 3 goals on 12 shots.
All right.
With 2 goals on 13 shots. I'm telling you.
There you go.
This team, it's a 2-man team. And they cannot last being a 2-man team. Now, if Ken Holland goes out there and makes a trade for Taylor Hall, which I think we're going to start talking about in a minute, Taylor Hall rumors, but now the other games last night, I watched a little bit, Russ, of Capitals Kings. Mm-hmm. Somebody said it in the chat. The LA Kings have officially quit. There's so much lollygagging on the ice.
They Carter playing. I mean, start with that.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Quick did not look good.
They have a line of Jeff Carter, Toffoli, and Prokhorov. I mean, he just came into the league, and he's centering those 2 guys. Like, come on.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And I think the fans – I feel bad for the fans because I know they are not happy. And it's not because they're not winning. It's because you don't really see an end in sight for them right now because this is only going to get worse. They're going to have to trade quick. They do have a goalie in waiting. That's fine. But, again – he is going to have to find his way with the NHL. They do have him and Campbell. That's fine. But you're still going to trade quick. You hope that you're getting a lot for him. But even fielding a team next year, short of being at the top of the cap, they might not even be close to a playoff team.
Yeah.
Well, and I have a Flamester in the chat saying the Flames have quit. Haven't the Flames won 2 games in a row since they fired Peters? So I don't think they've quit.
No, they haven't quit.
I'll give the Senators a lot of credit because I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Although I thought that in the second half they'd be better because a lot of the young guys would be playing. At least they put in an effort. At least they tried. These guys are fighting for jobs. The ones who are 1-year guys like Tyler Ennis are fighting for their NHL careers. So, I mean, I give them a lot of credit for being at least competitive. But teams like Detroit is a disgrace. That team is a complete and utter joke. New Jersey has quit. I saw them on Monday in Buffalo. They quit on Hines. I don't know. I think that team, was poorly constructed, and I think that reflects badly on Shiro. But they weren't showing that much of a pulse against Buffalo. And in the West, I mean, LA. I mean, Minnesota started to come around a little bit, but LA and these teams are just.
Let's talk about the opposite, though. So the Penguins, no Dumoulin, no Schultz, no Jack Johnson, which I think is a positive, but no Jack Johnson. They shut out St. Louis with Tristan Jarry.
Yeah, can we talk about this? Is an interesting thing.
Massive win for them. Massive.
I know Tristan Jarry has been phenomenal. It's his third shutout. And the interesting thing about this is, like we're coming up on another. This feels like deja vu, doesn't it? We're coming up on another expansion draft, right? And as they sit there, and are we going to see a repeat of them going with the younger goalie and just letting the older goalie go? I mean, they're in a spot where they could actually,
I don't think Rutherford will do that.
I mean, but one of these guys could go. I mean, one of them.
Yeah, I think they'll end up trading Jarry, so it doesn't happen.
Well, I see that's the thing. They've got
because
they've got 3 goalies right now. DeSmith is in the minors. He's doing really well. I think his goals against down in Scranton is 1.5. He's under contract for 2 more years.
Yeah.
Jarry is an RFA after this year. I don't think if he keeps going like this, I don't think they can afford to sign him for what he probably could get. So I think he's going to be like what we think is going to happen with Georgiev with the Rangers. Mm-hmm. There are teams out there that need number ones.
Yeah,
and may trade for these guys in the off season.
Right.
Think about it. The Smith is better suited to be a backup anyhow. Jarry always had this pedigree to be a number 1 guy.
Yeah.
Like when you go back to, I think he was an Edmonton Oil Kings guy. Mm-hmm. He was a backup there and then eventually became the guy because he played so well. That's when I noticed him as a backup there. And I'll tell you, this kid, he just keeps getting better. But I think they could get a lot for him, and I think they're going to use him at the deadline.
And they have to do it before next summer, or by next summer, because if you go into next season and we have the expansion draft coming up with Seattle, these teams know that they're in deep trouble of losing a guy like Georgiev or a guy like Jarry in expansion and not getting anything for them. They can only protect the one goal.
I think they should do it at the deadline. But Eck, I had something that just popped in my head. Tell me if this is legal or not. I believe it is. I don't think you can do anything about it. Let's say you and I are GMs and it's the draft and we say, you know what? Let's do a trade. I'm going to trade you Jarry. You trade me, Mike Ogello. But after the expansion draft, we're going to make the exact same trade again.
That's circumvention. No,
there's something about that, like players.
I mean, there probably is a way.
I mean, they're definitely. I mean, last time people tried to hide players in all different sorts of ways, right? And you'll see more of that even this time, I think. But and I think there are rules that players trade within a certain period of time to the expansion draft can't be moved back for like a year or something like that. There is a rule that involves that. I'll get exactly what it is, but there are stuff.
But I thought it was, I thought it was when it was time for the expansion, like close to the expansion draft. Like if I did this with you at the deadline and I say, let's have it happen again.
At the deadline, you might be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's do it again in September and we'll just kind of throw draft picks and prospects in there. I kind of wonder if teams could do that.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like, if someone can prove that you set up the thing ahead of time, like that you're going to make the trade back, that would probably be the NHL Players Association would probably come down on you pretty hard. Like that would be one of the, because that'd be collusionary, for sure. But I think that, that has happened in different situations for sure.
I mean, like Eck, I know you've been in discussions to try and trade Mike for Pete Tessier. I know it for a fact.
Yeah. We can't
take Pete Tessier's money.
Right. We can't afford to keep both of them. No, it's one. Somebody's got to go. No, you know, but anyway, no. But Tessier already, left, so we're all set.
So I'm safe
for now.
Yes. Maybe we need to bring Dan Petrie back.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Dan gets. I still talk to Dan every day. It's pretty fun. And texts me a lot. He's a great guy. So we also put out yesterday that we Hockey Buzz is looking for some writers. We aren't, doesn't come up too often, but we have some opportunities right now. So we have the Blues, the Jets, the Capitals, and the Kings, and
the Coyotes.
And the Coyotes, yeah. And we have had a lot of people who send in things. But if you're interested in doing that, if you're interested in writing for any of those teams at all, what we look for is kind of like unique voices. I definitely am of the belief that you have to have something to say. And I don't want just people just reporting on the games. Just have an opinion, because everybody can report on the games. And yeah, just send an example of your work to Eklund@HockeyBuzz.com and put writer at the top of it, and I'll check it out. And you'll see things that are popping up on the site over the last couple of days. We've had a couple of people's sites pop up there. So
cool.
I think a couple of these teams are great opportunities, like Winnipeg and Washington and St. Louis. I mean, that's really, you're talking about three of the top teams in the league right now. So
I think Washington's coming out of the East. I still do. Yeah. I said that preseason. I still go with it.
Yeah, for sure. They have a really good chance. Okay. The Sabres, I'm going to talk about them for a second because I wrote about the site. The Sabres are being very aggressive, and apparently from what I was talking to sources this morning, they are not willing to wait. They're trying to make a major move before the trade freeze, which I think is
like December
19th or something like that.
Right around there. So we're talking about
2020
like a week. There's like 2 more weeks in there probably that they could get it done. But they're not, I think Goalie said, listen, we're not going to sit around and let this thing slip away. Like he doesn't want the team. He wants the team to stay competitive and stay in the playoffs. He talked to the Rangers about Kreider. I mean, they're going to have to give up more if they make the move earlier. That's for sure. They're going to do that. So they've definitely have talked. And this came out today, I think in the Buffalo News, they've talked to New Jersey about Taylor Hall. There's no question about that.
Well, yeah. I saw the report from Lance Lasowski, and he did sort of a mailbag thing. And the thing is, what his conclusion is that while there might be interest in Hall, the Sabres don't have the bevy of young talent to be able to afford Hall if there's not a guarantee that Hall will re-sign, and there's no guarantee that Hall is going to re-sign anywhere, that he's going to go to July. Yeah. And if that's the case, then it makes no sense for them to do that. Then they hold on to a guy like Casey Middlestad, who would probably have to be part of the deal for Hall, and wait until the summer and then get into free agency. But if they go out and sign Taylor Hall, I can almost guarantee you that probably mean that a guy like Sam Reinhart's gone, because they can't re-sign Reinhart and sign Hall too. So right now the big need for the Sabres is a number 2 center. Middlestad has not proven he can do it yet. They've been playing Evan Rodriguez up the middle, Marcus Johansson out of position up the middle. It doesn't work. They've been basically playing Skinner on the second line, trying to get some secondary offense to take the pressure off of Eichel and Reinhart. That hasn't worked. Eichel has been playing phenomenal, and their recent turn, their recent success, which has only been a few games, and you can't really base their success on playing Toronto because they always play Toronto tough.
Yeah,
it's been because Eichel's been playing like Superman. That's not going to last. He'll regress a little bit. He's a really good player, but he can't keep up that pace. They have to have more depth. And I don't know how, unless they're going to trade Ristolainen, I don't know how they're going to get that kind of depth.
Yeah, they're not trading Ristolainen.
Yeah, they're not going to.
I
mean, it's not, I shouldn't say they're not going to completely. Like if they have the chance to get Hall and get him extended, then Ristolainen becomes very much a possibility.
Yeah, but he's not extending with anybody. Even reports from other places don't believe Hall will extend with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all most likely is the case as well, unless he's got something that he just some players just have a team. Like I think if Tavares had been traded to the Leafs in this season before, he would have extended with Toronto. Still, I think that there was. I
don't know if he would have, just because of the optics and the blowback on the island. I'm not sure that's true, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, it also really depends on how much the Sabres want to succeed this year. Like how much they don't want to fall out of it. And they are really, from everything I've been told, really aggressively not trying to fall out of this one because they want to stay in that playoff. And they
Well, I mean, right.
the division is wide open. I mean, the Atlantic division is
Hey,
completely.
the Bills are doing good. What's the difference? Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, the Atlantic is the Bruins are 14 points ahead of everybody else, right? So it's completely it's ridiculous. So they're running away with it, and everybody.
Which is good news for the Leafs, unless they finish in the wild card and then they end up playing the Bruins again.
Right, which is going to happen.
So there's a video out there. Even though Patrice Bergeron is out with a LBI, and I kind of wonder how hurt he really is. There's a video of him on his knees collecting all the pucks and putting them away after his time on the ice. So it's like, if your knee's really bad, are you doing that? Like, come on.
That's just like Patrice Bergeron. Yeah,
I know.
That's just like that's how great he is. I mean, he is like the epitome of all that, People don't. I know a lot of people who don't give him enough credit because he's not one of those. He's not like as flashy as some superstars have been, but he is.
I'll give you the best thing I've ever heard about Bergeron is when someone came on Hockey Prospect Radio. They told us, and I can't remember who it is in the organization, that video of Patrice Bergeron gets sent to all the centers in the organization. Centers that are in junior, they get sent. They want them all to play that way, and they all look and see how he does it and try and emulate it.
Wow. Oh, man, that's crazy. Finally, our buddy Alvis, Russian writer, put out a tweet yesterday that was kind of interesting. I guess it was last night, I want to say, late, that the Canadiens had a meeting, that Mark Bergevin had a meeting with Romanov over in Russia. Or maybe not in Russia, but he had a meeting with him. I'm not sure where the meeting was exactly.
Yeah, it was in Russia.
Okay.
Russia, yeah.
But really, there's a really good chance he could be in the NHL next season. And
Romanov's really good. I think if they wait till next season, I think there's a chance there. I mean, he's a really good skater.
How good is he, Russ? I mean, in comparison.
Oh, he's really good. I mean, he's good on the rush. He's a good skater. He doesn't make that many mistakes. I haven't seen him make that many mistakes. Good shot. No, I think he's a great pick for them. I want to say, boy, I don't know. He was probably like 5th or 6th round, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that Avis had a bunch of reports about Kaprizov coming over next year, about Sorokin, about a couple other players. So check out his Twitter feed.
Yeah. Well, the reason I think this is happening, there was a conversation I had at the rink about a week or two ago, and that was there's a rumor that something might happen with the AHL where all of a sudden they'll be able to pay some players more money,
right?
Maybe like European players, so they could put them in the AHL and they'd want to go there rather than staying in Russia, because in Russia they can make a lot more money. If you're only making $70,000 here,
right?
What's the point? They may be doing something to that to alter their salary structure.
How could you do that for just Europeans, though? They'd have to do that.
I don't know. I mean,
everybody. I mean, imagine you're like a Canadian. You're like, okay,
that's a CBA issue, Russ, because all of a sudden, if the basic entry level contract is, the max is $925 NHL, $70 AHL.
But the AHL is different in the sense that they are the ones who decide like how much players get paid and how they get paid. And so what is the difference if they do it the same way that they do it in like the SHL, where you could have there's probably a rule where you could have 2 or 3 guys from the States or from out of right. I mean, I think the KHL has that rule where you could have like 2 guys, I think. And why can't they do it?
Yeah. Why can't you? I kind of get it, but
it's going to happen. I'm just saying there was some chatter about it.
It makes sense. I mean, it's a good idea to try to find a way to get the Russians over. Sorry.
I mean, I know the CFL, you could only have like 2 imports on a team.
Right.
I'm pretty sure some of those other leagues are the same way.
I want to bring up this question here. Barticus here. Question: what do you guys think about Austin Matthews' comments post Flyers constantly referring to the starting goalie? I pulled up the quote because
what exactly was said here?
This is what he was. It was about the ending of the game in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was right in front of him. Okay.
He said we tied it up and then gave up a goal. We feel like we're still kind of in it. and have a chance to pull the goalie. We still had a couple minutes left, but we let in that empty net goal, and I mean, we just can't fold like that. It's unacceptable to do that to our starting goalie, a guy that's stolen games from us. He's been a brick wall for us all year. That's just unacceptable on our part.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you? I'm asking this to Bardicus. Do you think he's not naming Anderson because there's some sort of animosity there? I can tell you that Anderson and Matthews are fairly close and pretty close friends. So
I not only did I not think it was that, I thought it was more of his disgust that Anderson's done everything for this year and they let him down.
I think starting goalie just means Anderson to me, like that.
By the way, Romanov was a second-round pick. I'm surprised. He's a great pick.
So I think that. No, I mean, the only thing I was happy about the game was the Eklund goals were scored. And that's something that I have, that for years I've been trying. There's a Gordie Howe hat trick, right? So 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to name something after myself, and so what I did was I created the Eklund goal, which is a goal that, and I was trying to find something in hockey that didn't have a name. Like we have the natural hat tricks, we have Gordie Howe hat tricks. The Eklund goal is a goal that's scored on a team after that team has pulled their goalie, given up a goal, and then put their goalie back in. Like, it's the most demoralizing goal that can happen because, you pull your goalie. So imagine,
I think the second most demoralizing. I think the Eklund goal should be the Marc-Andre Fleury goal in the World Juniors, where you clear the puck right into the opposing player and it goes right back in your net.
Well, that's but that doesn't happen. I mean, this to me is like a perfect scenario because, you pull your goalie, you put your goalie back in as a concession. We've lost the game, and then you give up that goal you give up after that. The goalie in there, you might as well just kept your goalie out.
2 goals. They gave up
2 Eklund goals in one game.
The Eklund goal is the Louis Domingue goal against Buffalo, where he hits it with his blocker. He hits it up in the air over his own back and into his own net.
I've been trying for 10 years to get this caught on, and I was waiting.
I did say to people, and then I said to Mike as well on the way home, I had never seen that in an NHL game.
Yeah. And I've ever gotten 2 of them. I mean, and they're rare. You don't see that many in general because once a team scores into the empty net, the other team puts their goalie back in. The game's usually over and nothing really happens. So for the Flyers,
but I went a step further. I haven't written about it yet, but I even asked Konechny about it. And what he said was, I said, hey, what about scoring those goals when the Leafs, basically didn't play to the whistle? I said, is that really like a positive sign for your team? And, and he took it in for a second. He goes, look, we weren't trying to run up the score. The opportunity was there, so we took it. I'm sure if it was that way on the other side, they would do the same thing.
They have. The Leafs have done that to the Flyers.
And there's no question. And so, I don't know if the Leafs have, but I think
you've got to forget a couple of years ago when the Leafs had a couple games when they destroyed the Flyers, 8-1. I think one of them was, or 7. I mean, they were crazy games. Yeah.
But I just think if that opportunity is there, players are going to do it. That is just the way it is. On those plays, one of them, Anderson, was literally asleep on. He was.
Yeah, I saw that.
But everybody else on the ice was asleep for both of them, just letting them even do it.
That was the Gostisbehere goal.
No, it's incredible. I mean, when it happens, it's totally bizarre. And to me, it's absolutely the most demoralizing thing. I think it's one of the most demoralizing things a team can have happen to them because they just.
Matthews was really pissed off. He was.
He should have been. I'm glad to see that. That's what you want to see.
Tavares was less. Tavares went with the more. Well, because I'm the captain, it's good to see. Here's the shtick Tavares gave.
And Ross,
tell you the shtick. Hold on.
I'll say what I said to you after the game. If Austin Matthews was pissed off about how that game went, then how about playing better?
But he did yesterday.
No, yesterday. I'm talking about in that game.
Oh, I mean, it happens, Mike.
Wait. 2 games in the last 3 up until yesterday. That top line with Matthews and Nylander and Andreas Janssen was minus 19.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you, when Tavares went with the patented captain line, we're going to be home in our own beds, it'll be better. Yeah. It wasn't. They still lost.
Yeah, it wasn't at all. Well, no, and I think maybe definitely had something to say about that, and Babcock is sitting there and saying, this is why he was shielding Austin. You know what he's saying.
Maybe he got rid of the Leafs bedspread. I don't know.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's a sign of leadership to air your dirty laundry out in the press. Maybe the best thing to do for the team is for Tavares to say, well, we're going to do, what he said, the sort of boilerplate comments, and talk about what's wrong within the locker room. Matthew's great. We folded, we did this, we did that. Okay, play better.
Well, and they did play better the next night.
$1 million, play better.
Yeah.
But again, take the dollar. I don't know why you have to keep, and people have to keep talking about how much money he's making.
Yeah.
He's leading the team in scoring. He's got the most goals by a lot. He's got 5 more than Nylander.
Yeah.
Like, again,
Russ, because
he's not a 30. Hold on, he's not a 30-year-old veteran.
No, but okay. When you sell yourself as I want to be the next Jonathan Taves or the next Anze Kopitar, and right now you're playing like the next Tyler Sager.
That's down the road, Mike. He didn't say I'm going to be that this year.
He's in his 4th year,
Mike, but he's still 22 years old.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just telling you.
I mean, I probably would have said that at 22 and then realized at 23 it's not going to happen. But
I think people thought he was going to be a much more complete player by this time in his career. And, right now, like when he's getting, when he's going -3 in one game, -3 in another game, his buddy Nylander going -4 twice. I mean, I'm sorry. That's the reason why.
Nylander's a year older, isn't he?
Yeah. He's not
Yeah,
better.
you got.
What the hell is his improvement?
I mean, look at the defense. I mean, it's like, come on. It's like plus minus is not just him.
It's not completely determinative, but he's on the ice for these goals, Zach. And then, like the game against Philadelphia, that Kevin Hayes, the Scott Lawton goal was all on Matthews.
Yeah.
So, I mean, believe me, I'm like
I wouldn't hold one statement to the guy for the rest of his career. I remember Jágr making a statement like
over and over, Russ.
There's a lot of other issues on that team.
And I'm not blaming Matthews solely.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
he's still on pace to score like 35, 40 goals.
Right? I mean, it's worth keeping an eye on, because one of the things you worry about with a young player, and I don't really worry about this with Matthews, but you have to worry about it when a coach gets fired, and the players remain. The players can feel empowered a little bit, and they can have this like feeling, like they and you've seen this, and it's a natural thing. Like the coaches were. Now I'm going to talk about the coaches.
I'm going to ask your opinion on this.
Yeah.
So after the game, every team has a training table. So the Leafs training table had the stuff that you normally would expect. It had peanut butter. It had Philly cream cheese, which I'm sure if there were in other markets, maybe they don't get Philly cream cheese. And they had everything you would expect, right? And I'm sure when they do the order, like they're ordering into catering services, and they're like, all right, yeah, check. All right, you want seasonal fruit? Check. The seasonal fruit was a watermelon.
A watermelon?
Why don't we get a watermelon in December?
That's got to be the most inconvenient fruit to buy as well. Like
I know, like I said to Mike,
what intern ran out and had to bring back a watermelon?
Right, where did he get a watermelon from? It's not like if I go to most grocery stores right now, I am not going to find a. Come on, Mike, this is real news.
This is real news. I mean, we care about these.
I thought this was like ridiculous when you first told me.
Also, there's like no at all benefit to eating a watermelon.
I'm offended. I'm shocked that they didn't have honeydew.
Listen, we've seen a lot of training tables, and especially in the winter, and I've never seen watermelon on it.
That's so funny. I haven't seen that either.
They must have been watching Peaky Blinders, because there's a scene where they have watermelon and the guy says, "Okay, well that's easier. It's easier to hide the vodka.
Right.
This guy doesn't drink, so he sticks a bottle of vodka into the watermelon and says, okay, we can eat watermelon because he won't know."
Of course not. No, definitely not. That's awesome.
That's my hard-hitting story for this.
Yes,
I like it. That's very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, we'll be back again tomorrow. I'm trying to get your mic there. Sorry. We'll be back again tomorrow, and enjoy the game tonight. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you soon.